안녕하세요. My name is Daniel Schramm. I'm a product manager on the Google Play console. We're really excited to be here today to tell you about all the exciting features that our team has worked on over the past year. The Android ecosystem is only successful if developers such as yourselves are also successful in building great apps and delivering great user experiences to users across the world. We know this isn't easy. Building apps has a number of challenges, so we're always looking for ways that we can help you be more efficient with your time and resources. So today we're going to give you an overview of major updates in 3 key areas. First, we'll look at some new tools to help ensure that your launches are safer and less risky. Then we'll cover some features that will help you identify problems in your app and craft better user experiences. And finally, we'll walk through some reports which will give you guidance to make better business decisions. That's a lot to get through, so I'd like to welcome on Phil, who will begin by talking us through some new launch tools.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Dan. My name is Phil, and I'm a researcher on the Play console. Let's see here. So launches, as we all know, are some of the most exciting times in your app's lifecycle. But they can be exciting in both good and in bad ways. Getting new functionality, improvements, and bug fixes in front of users is awesome. But there's always a risk when you go to a new release of introducing new bugs, regressions, or accessibility problems. This is why we've built tooling that helps you catch issues early, both by automating testing to catch issues before you launch, and by having a small number of users see and experiment with the app before you make it available to everyone. Let's get started by taking a look at the automated testing and the pre-launch report tools. For those of you who might not have used it, the pre-launch report runs a robo-crawler through your app on real devices in our device farm to find issues before they affect any of your users in the wild. To use it, all you have to do is upload an APK to the closed or open testing track. After you do that, our robo-tester will automatically exercise your app and report back any issues it finds. This year, we have made the robo-tester more effective than ever to ensure the pre-launch report can give you a thorough assessment of your app before you launch. First, the crawler has always tried to cover as much of your app as possible. But there are quite a few cases, for example, the one behind me that uses OpenGL for avatar creation, in which the robo-crawler didn't know what to do. Now it does. We're also introducing demo loops to allow you to create automated journeys through your app. For instance, going through a particular level in your game, or creating a game character. Demo loops have been in Firebase Test Lab since last year, and now we're bringing them to the pre-launch report. With that said, even if you don't have a demo loop, of course, the pre-launch report will still try random events to open test GL parts of your app. Secondly, many of your apps require a login to access all features. You can now assign login credentials to the robo-crawler. This means we can test key parts of the experience, like sign-in and registered user areas. Third, we have deep links. These allow the robo to bypass the normal flow of the app and directly access specific parts of your app or game. This enables you to define and test key, deep parts of your app that you want to make sure perform really, really well. Lastly is RoboScript. This is the final improvement we've made. When there are particularly complicated flows in your app, like perhaps correct text entry, you can provide guidance for the crawler. These are short scripts that you can record in Android Studio. They're recorded as JSON, and then this allows you to exercise these complicated parts of your app. In addition to the crawling updates that we've made that I've just discussed, the pre-launch report is now also scanning for accessibility issues. These might include small touch targets, low contrast, missing context for the talkback system, and really small text. This happens automatically. It's not something you have to enable. So, Hopefully, you can see that the pre-launch report is increasingly useful in helping you identify and fix issues before you ever even reach your users. And because it's run automatically every time you upload to any of the tracks on Play, you can easily integrate it into your workflow for every new release. For these reasons, we really do suggest using the pre-launch report and following its recommendations. Now, that's automated testing with the pre-launch report, but sometimes you want to get real eyes on your app before a full release. For the next part of the session, we'll walk through a suite of tools within the Google Play Console that help you handle this process confidently and effectively to achieve well-understood, risk-free releases. We'll look at deploying your app to increasingly larger audiences and what you can do at each stage to reach that ultimate goal of a great new app or great new update that goes out to everybody. Now, before distributing your app to the world, testing it with smaller groups of users is a really good idea. Catching issues earlier helps increase overall quality, but it also helps you move more quickly and scale better. Although the open and closed testing tracks in the Play console do help you distribute your APK to an early set of testers, we have heard from you that it's often too slow to use those tracks for the sort of fast, iterative testing of development builds. That's because we designed those tracks for scaled testing with potentially millions of testers, and the processing to set this up can take some time. So, to enable that sort of fast, iterative testing, we've introduced a new internal test track. This new track in the Play console is designed to distribute test versions of your app to small groups of users that you trust within your organization. You can configure the testers by specifying a list of email addresses. Testers opt in with a simple URL and can then use the Play Store to download and update your app. This is super simple for the tester to set up, and it works on any Android device with the Play Store. No need for a special app or special permissions. It's fast, it's safe, and it's simple. To get these APKs out quickly in the internal testing track, we distribute them before the processing of an APK is complete. Although the publishing is immediate, of course, the APKs and the bundles published to the test track are still subject to Play policies. The opt-in for internal testers is therefore a little different than for open and closed testing tracks. So users can either be testers on the internal test track or on the open and closed alpha beta tracks. There's also a cap, a maximum of 100 internal testers per app. The new internal test track is also supported by our publishing API and by many of the popular Play console publishing plugins. This means that you can easily automate publishing to the internal test track within your existing workflows and your tool chains. You can get up and running with very little change. The internal test track is great for quick iteration during development and for catching bugs early and for getting fast feedback from your team and for testing integration with Play. Because your app is distributed by Google Play with the internal test track, it supports all Play features, such as LVL testing, in-app purchases, and importantly, the new Android app bundle and dynamic delivery features that have been covered in the keynote and a developer talk earlier today. So if you're thinking about trying out these features or testing them further, the internal test track is a great way to do that. So once you have a working app and your internal team is happy, you've delivered it through the internal testing track, you're ready to start testing with public users. At this stage, you're most likely looking for trusted feedback on new and potentially confidential features. So you're not ready to open up access to everyone. Closed testing helps you to scale up your testing, while at the same time retaining control over exactly who can get your app. Alpha and beta tracks have allowed for closed testing for some time now. But we have heard that as apps grow in scope, you need the flexibility to handle various testing scenarios. For example, what if you wanted to have a testing track for each feature branch in your code, or set up testing tracks for specific events or specific milestones? So that's why we've added the ability to create additional closed testing tracks, enabling each of these scenarios. So you now have one production track, one open testing track, a number of closed testing tracks, and the internal test track I mentioned. To illustrate this, we've reorganized the app releases page to group all the tracks accordingly. The existing alpha and beta tracks have been moved to these new open and closed testing groups automatically. And going forward, we do recommend using beta as the open track and alpha as one of the closed testing tracks. When you need an additional closed testing track, you can create it simply by pushing on the corresponding button in the app releases page. You can then give the track any name you want, which is also how the name is used in the API. Our early adopters have told us that this is great for things like user studies, for country-specific variants, for per-team feature branches, and for testing with incrementally larger groups. But that just scratches the surface of how these multiple closed tracks can be used, and we look forward to seeing how you use them. So that's internal testing and closed testing. That's great for when you want to test your app with a smaller group of trusted testers. But even that group is unlikely to be fully representative of the kinds of users that are going to end up using your app in production. Production users use a wider set of devices. There's more variation in the sorts of features within your app that they'll use, and they might not be as motivated for certain things as your trusted testers. So this is where open testing comes in. When you need broad coverage of your code to catch technical issues across a broad set of users, or to inspect relevant and specific business KPIs across a wide set of use cases. Releasing to open testing allows any user to discover and to join your testing community directly from the Play Store app. These users can provide private feedback to you, which is available to you in the Play console without it impacting your public rating. This is a great way to scale up your testing, to make sure that the new version of your app provides a great experience before it goes out to everyone. And of course, if you need to, you can set a cap on the number of the users who come into open testing to keep the group manageable. One extra thing to call out here is that last year we also introduced country targeting for testing tracks, which allows you to control the country availability for each track individually. So this can be used with both open and with closed testing, making it easy to run a test on a different set of countries from where your production app is live. Okay, so now you've tested your app internally during development, you've caught early issues with the pre-launch reports, you've gotten feedback from trusted external users in closed testing, and finally you've expanded testing to collect even more feedback in open testing. What's next? At this point, you're pretty confident that the release is looking good. The only thing now left to do is roll out to the public on your production track. Last year at I/O, we unveiled a new guided release flow that allows you to manage your release. Based on the feedback we've received from you all, we've further streamlined the release process, making it faster to provide translated release notes and enhancing the APK upload interface so you can drag and drop all your APKs in a single step. We've also introduced support for instant apps, instant games, actions on Android, and the new Android app bundle. And in preparation for the new Android app bundle, we've also introduced a new UI, the Bundle Explorer. This helps you understand the contents of your APK or bundle. On average, apps using the Android app bundle will see a 20% size reduction, and the Bundle Explorer can show you exactly where the savings are happening. Even if you are not using the Android app bundle now, the Bundle Explorer is still a good way to get useful insights into the sizes of your APKs. Keeping your APKs as small as possible, of course, means that users can download and install apps faster and have more free space left on their devices. So, staged rollout is the next step. This allows you to control the percentage of users eligible to receive your update so that you can gradually increase this as your confidence in the release grows. In the unlikely event that something does go wrong with your release, you have the ability to halt the release while only a small percentage of your production users have seen that app. For these reasons, we recommend that all developers do use staged rollout when releasing a production release. We're also happy to see that since introducing this new guided release flow that I mentioned earlier, twice as many developers from this time last year are publishing on Play, making use of staged rollouts. In addition to country targeting for your test tracks, we also have extended staged rollouts to support country targeting. This allows you to control your rollout per country by percentage. So this is really great and really useful for starting a rollout in a country that maybe you understand very, very well, making it easier to analyze your business performance indicators as the rollout progresses. Once your rollout has begun, you can use the releases dashboard in the Play console to monitor key metrics such as update rates, app ratings, crashes, and ANRs. These metrics help you evaluate your release to ensure it remains healthy as you increase the number of users getting it. We've also updated the statistics across the console to show you release events to make it even easier to understand the impact of the release. And if you'd like a more detailed view of your technical performance, you can use the Vitals page to check metrics like battery usage, jank, and wake lock usage, and we'll talk more about Vitals shortly. While we've introduced many exciting new features that I've been discussing here for releasing your app through the Play console, we know that many of you automate your APK deployment with continuous integration systems or use a Gradle plugin. And so we've also updated our API, our publishing API, so that you can integrate with your existing workflows. Rolling a release out via the API now uses the same release model that you're familiar with from the UI and the Play console. This allows you, for example, to name your releases and to more easily modify your release notes. In addition, we've relaxed some of the constraints on what you can roll out via the API to match the Play console. All the new testing tracks that I've just described are also supported by the API for full integration. And the new release model also unlocks features that were previously only available through the UI. So now you can do this through the API. For example, it's now possible to halt a stage rollout automatically. We've heard that while many of you like to integrate with automated systems and you're comfortable deploying test builds, you do like the control of being able to come to the console manually to make the final rollout to production. To support this, we've added to the API the ability to prepare a draft release. And once that's all set up in the console, your release manager or your product manager can log into the console, check everything looks good, and then hit confirm and roll out. You can find the full details of the new API changes and the associated client libraries on our developer pages and on GitHub. So that's what's new in the pre-launch report and the recent changes to the testing tracks and publishing guidance. I hope that these features help you release updates with confidence to, as Dan said, have better launches. I'll hand off to Dan now to speak about crafting better experiences. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Now that we've seen how to have a successful release, we're going to dive into some features that help you understand and improve your users' overall experience. Getting user feedback through testing and reviews is a really helpful way to understand the user visible impacts on app experiences. But how do you understand how your app contributes to the overall experience of using the device? How do you understand that things that users may not see, but they'll feel over the course of using your app? For that, we have Android Vitals. Since we launched Android Vitals a year ago, lots of developers have told us how it has helped them improve their app performance. We've received a lot of great feedback, and we've used that to improve the product. I'm excited to tell you about some of the new enhancements we have available today. I'll begin by recapping what Android Vitals covers. Last year, we launched 3 performance areas: battery, stability, and rendering. And now we're introducing 2 new ones: startup time and permissions. Of all of these areas, battery is the most critical. Without battery, there is no user experience. We provide a number of metrics to help you build well-behaved apps that make sure that the device radio and CPU is not kept on unnecessarily. Our battery vitals include stuck partial wake locks, excessive wake-ups, excessive background Wi-Fi scans, and excessive background network usage. The second performance area is stability. Metrics in this area help you build robust and reliable apps that don't freeze or crash. We measure stability using the app not responding rate and the crash rate. Next is rendering. These metrics help you build fast and responsive apps that don't stall or act sluggish. The render time reflects how long it takes to display a single frame on your device's screen. The two vitals metrics here are frozen frames and slow rendering. Now let's talk about our new focus areas. Startup time metrics make it easier to create quick launching apps, which has a big impact on how users perceive the performance of your app. The startup time is measured by looking at how long it takes to render the first frame of your app on the device. We then break this metric down into 3 states based on whether or not your app is already in memory on the device. Lastly, we're introducing permission denial rates. These metrics help you understand whether or not users are granting the permissions that your app needs. Why is this important? When we investigated the top reasons that users deny runtime permissions, 40% of those denial decisions were because users thought that the permission being requested was unnecessary. So we now provide a lot of detail within the Play console to help you understand which permissions are being denied. And this is broken down by permission group. This means that if you are seeing a high permission denial rate, you can take action by deciding whether or not your app really needs that permission, and if so, making sure that it's super clear to users why you need it and what you're going to do with it. Performing well across all of these vitals is key to providing a great user experience. And it has a huge impact not only on retention, but also on app discovery and acquisition. But when looking at your vitals, we know that it's sometimes hard to understand what's good and what's not. We know it's hard to know when you're doing well and when there's area for further improvement, which is why we're excited to announce category benchmarks. These benchmarks enable you to understand how your app performs against apps in the same category. We'll now show this category benchmark on the details for every metric in the Android Vitals part of the Play console. This allows you to compare yourself against the top apps in your category. And to get an idea for how your app is performing across the board, we've updated the Android Vitals overview page to list the performance for each metric over the last 30 days and the previous 30 days before that. We'll also show the category benchmark for every metric here as well. So now there are over 10 metrics across the 5 performance areas within Android Vitals. We realize that that's a lot, but they're all super important to crafting a great user experience. But some are more important than others, and we call these ones the core vitals. Critically for you, these core vitals are what we use as a factor in the Play Store search and discovery algorithms. To help you focus on these metrics, there is a new core vitals section at the top of the Android Vitals overview page. It highlights the 4 core vitals, which are stuck partial wake locks, excessive wake-ups, crash rate, and ANR rate. If one of your APKs exhibits a bad behavior on one of these core vitals, this will be flagged at the top of the core vitals section on the Android Vitals overview page. If there's an anomaly, something that we think looks concerning and you might want to dig into before it becomes a bad behavior, we'll also flag that as well. And to make it even easier for you to quickly respond when there are new issues, you can now opt in to get email updates when we detect a major change with one of your metrics. So Android Vitals are now more useful with benchmarks, easier to prioritize with core vitals, and more helpful with warnings, anomaly detection, and email alerts. We strongly recommend that you check out the Android Vitals features regularly to help you build better apps and better user experiences. So the last area that we're going to focus on today are the reports within the Play console that help you make better business decisions. I love coming to events like this to hear how you think about creating successful app businesses, and I get a lot of insights and feedback on how we on the Play console can better support you in making those decisions. We can do this by making Play's exclusive data accessible and we couple it with Google Smarts to make it understandable and actionable. We take over 3 billion events per day, and that includes installs, uninstalls, updates, and more, and we turn these events into metrics and insights that you can use to make better decisions. You have to make great business decisions at every stage of your user lifecycle, all the way from discovery and acquisition through to engagement, and then ultimately uninstallation and win-back. We have and will continue to develop a number of tools to help in these areas. Last month, we announced major updates in 2 key areas: acquisition and monetization. So let's take a look at that now. I think you'll all agree that not all acquired users are the same. It's really important to capture the right users that are engaged, users that generate revenue, to make sure that you're getting the biggest bang for your acquisition buck. Understanding acquisition is important to any developer. You need to know which sources give you the most valuable users, where to invest to drive better acquisition, and whether you're performing as well as possible. Let's look at some new features within the Play Acquisitions report, which will help you answer these questions to optimize your user acquisition part of the user lifecycle. The Play Console's acquisition reports help you understand where your users came from and how they convert to retained installers, buyers, or subscribers in your app. But for many developers, organic traffic, and that is users who discover your app through the Play Store, is the largest source of user acquisition. This had previously been a black box, but now we're really excited to announce last month that we're opening this information up to you all. First, we're going to distinguish users that have come to your store to your store listing by browsing through either the home page or an app list from the users that have come to your store listing through search. Just imagine how this would be useful to your growth team to optimize acquisition. And it gets even better. Here's what we think you'll be really excited about. You can now click through to see which search terms drive users to your store listing and which search terms convert the best. This is the view into the Play Store that has never been available before. The developers that we tested this feature with love it, and I want to share a few of their insights from the top developers with you, just in case it sparks some ideas. They've told us that they'll use this data to evaluate their acquisition strategies, to change their listings and screenshots to reflect the user's expectations, and even to optimize the in-app onboarding experience to focus on the most important user features and benefits. We're really pleased that our test developers have found this feature so useful, and we hope to make it available to you all soon as well. I hope that answers the question of how do people find my app or game on the Play Store? And that last question is really important to marketers, but we hear that there's an even more important question for product managers and finance people. And that's how valuable are the users that I have acquired through each marketing channel? A lot of developers tell us that these acquisition reports are great, but simply getting a user to install the app is only part of the story. Retention, purchases, and subscriptions are all critical leading indicators to what you really care about and what to optimize for most, and that's revenue. So last month, we launched a new line in the buyer's acquisition report. This is the average revenue per user line. This is a great way to demonstrate how your acquisition decisions are contributing to the bottom line. So no matter if you're running classic CPM models, cost per install, or optimizing for value further down the funnel, the acquisition reports should be even more helpful in evaluating your success and making future decisions. Lastly, on acquisition, we hear a lot of feedback from developers wanting to know how they're performing against the competition and how they can improve. As with Android Vitals, benchmarks are super useful in understanding where there's an easy opportunity and where you're already outperforming the market, which is why we have launched the retained installer benchmark throughout the funnel. So now, for organic traffic, you can easily see where in your funnel there's an easy opportunity to drive better performance and to drive quality acquisition. Now, let's dive more into the monetization phase of the user lifecycle, and let's see what new insights we have to help you earn more value from your users. We've done a lot of work recently in the subscriptions reports, so let's take a look at that. At I/O last year, we launched our new subscriptions dashboard. Loads of developers have used it to gain insights into their business, and this is used by a majority of top subscription developers. But we heard you wanted more, which is why last month we announced the upgraded retention and cancellation reports. This will really help you optimize your subscriber value. The new retention report has been redesigned to make it super easy to compare cohorts, evaluate key features like free trials, and track the data that is important to you, like renewals. The new cohort selectors allow you to create custom cohorts based on SKUs, countries, and dates. So now you can really concentrate on a group of subscribers that you're especially interested in. For example, if you were interested in comparing a SKU with a free trial to another SKU that had an introductory price to see which one performed better and earned the most revenue over time. Or maybe you'd like to see how an audience that you acquired in last year's marketing campaign is performing compared to this year's marketing campaign. You can do that too. The advanced cohort comparisons enable you to explore all kinds of intricacies, but that's not all. We've extracted some key data that we know you're interested in to make it easier than ever to track your conversions. Free trial success rates and other information about free trial performance is now displayed right there on the page. And because we know that subscription businesses run on repeat payments, we've also made it explicit which billing periods your cohorts reach. We've also made some major updates to the cancellation report to help you reduce your subscription churn. Users cancel for many reasons, and so we've highlighted some of these top reasons right within the Play console. We've also launched a post-cancellation survey within the Play Store to give you qualitative insights directly in the Play console from from subscribers that are canceling. And lastly, we're reporting on the performance of win-back features like account hold or grace periods. All up, this is a major update to the subscription reports, which will help subscription developers understand and optimize monetization, which is such a key part of the user lifecycle. With all of these updates that you've heard about today, we know how hard it can be to find just the right information that you're looking for, just the right information that is relevant to your job. So last month, we launched the new app dashboard. This is the landing page for your app within the Play console. The new dashboard makes trends clear, so it's easy to see your performance at a glance. It has also pulled related metrics into sections focused on key questions, which makes it easy to find and consume the information that is most relevant to you. We understand that each of you have different jobs and different priorities, so you can now collapse or expand the different sections within the app dashboard to only show what you most care about. All in all, the new dashboard shows you more metrics, makes them more easy to quickly understand and consume, and provides more customization so that you can make it suit your needs. Wow, that was a lot. So to quickly recap what we've covered today, the pre-launch report, testing tracks, and other launch features help you launch or update your app safely and efficiently. Android Vitals, and in particular Core Vitals, help you understand your performance and craft better user experiences. And the new acquisition data, subscription reports, and revamped app dashboard give you insights to make better, smarter business decisions. From all of us at Play, thanks so much for building fantastic apps and games that make Android so compelling. And from the both of us today, thanks for listening.